Hi guys, and welcome back to our channel. This is our very first Storytime Wednesdays with Sandra. So every Wednesdays you'll be seeing me and doing our girly time and story time and everything else, and every Sunday you'll be seeing me and Steve. So to kickstart the story time, I thought I would start from the beginning, my moving from Zimbabwe to the UK. Guys, I'm talking almost 24 years ago. To be precise, I arrived in the UK on the 28th of August in 1998. I remember that it was like it was yesterday, guys. Honestly, anyway, rewind. How it all began. One of my uncles, Sekuru Colin, hi Sekuru Colin, came to Zimbabwe on the December 1997 to visit, like for Christmas and stuff. And he was wearing this red starter jersey. Guys, he was looking the bomb. So I was like, oh, Sekuru Colin, you are looking really good. I like your outfit. Can I come to the UK so I can buy some more outfits? And he was laughing. He says, do you know what, Chipo? You are the only one amongst everybody else asking me about coming to the UK. Everybody else seems just concerned about me leaving them clothes when I go. I said, no, we don't do it that way. Why would I want just the one item that's gonna leave me, or two items if I'm lucky, when I can come to the UK and get the whole shebang? So, I'm coming to the UK. And he was like, well, if you want to come to the UK, the easiest way would be for you to come and do nursing. Would you do that? I was thinking nursing, and I'm not wanting to do any shade or anybody, right? But the picture I had of a nurse was not something I wanted to do. Like the nurses in Zimbabwe, bless their souls, I just didn't see myself like that. I wanted to be a doctor. I'd done my sciences and did really well in my A-levels, so I wanted to do my medicine. I didn't want to be no nurse, but I thought, you know what? It's still in the caring industry. There's nothing wrong with that. I'll come and do nursing. And he was like, you know what? If you don't want to do nursing, you can, after you finish your nursing, you can carry on and do whatever else you want to do. So I was like, yeah, that sounds like a plan. Let's do it. So I started applying for places to come to the UK at university for nursing. And I got an invite from University of Wolverhampton to come for an interview for the 1st of September. I remember that well because we used to have a song, right? I used to sing the song, Dengen Dak London, Muswa 1 September, Dengen Dak London. Oh. No, let's stop. I don't even know how or where that song came from, but that used to be my song, and I used to be really so excited. I was so excited to come to the UK. Everybody, anyway, most people I know anyway, they would have loved to be in my shoes, and I was equally, honestly, I was so excited to come to the UK to see where it's all at. You know what we see on TV and everything. I was expecting a lot for UK. So anyway, I packed my little bag, guys, all my belongings fitted in a little cabin case. That's what all I left Zimbabwe with. Everything else I gave it away. I was like, you know what, you can keep that. I'm gonna go and buy some more stuff in the UK. I remember I was wearing my Sunday best, guys. I thought I was looking the B's and the E's at the airport, right? And at the airport, guys, now listen, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my aunties, all my uncles, my nephews, my nieces, the whole clan, guys, was there to send me off. It was so good, guys, honestly. And at that time, this Harare airport was quite a small one, and they used to have like a little balcony where all the people that are sending you off could go on the balcony as you walk to the plane, so you can wave goodbye, and you know, it was so nice. I remember it so well. It was such a good feeling. Anyways, I was walking to the plane and everyone was like, oh, Chipo, oh, we're gonna miss you and everything. I was tearing up a little bit, but at the same time I was excited about coming to the UK. And I also had a little boyfriend, guys, right? And the little boyfriend was supposed to be at the airport as well, but like, you know, sneakily at the airport. But unfortunately, he was only a little boy, you know. Bearing in mind, guys, I was 17 years old at that time. I was barely almost 18, but 17 years old. So he just finished his A-levels as well. So he didn't really have money. He wasn't driving or anything, so he was like, he had to like hitchhike transport to get to the airport, because I remember it was a morning flight. So he missed. By the time he goes to the airport, I was already gone. And I remember my auntie said, because when I got here, I called my auntie and she says, "Oh, that little boyfriend of yours, poor him, how dare he come to the airport and think that he can still have his way. He's done. Forget about him. Look for new things in the UK and all this. He's gonna stop you. He's gonna hinder you from progress. Leave the Zim things in Zim." But I was so hurt. Anyway, the boyfriend story is gonna be a story for another day. Yeah, they used to follow on that one. So that little boyfriend, keep an eye on it. So anyway, I got here. It was Air Zimbabwe was still was still operating at that time. So there was a direct flight from Harare Airport to Heathrow, and we got here. Oh my God, guys! It was my first time in the plane, and everything was all like, whoa, what is this, cheapo? You have arrived. Everything was just so overwhelming for me. Those little television when you watch what you watch, those little telly when you're watching the movies and everything in the plane, the food in the plane, everything was just like, oh my God, is this England? Am I in England yet? That kind of thing. I got here, and Heathrow Airport, guys, compared to our little Harare Airport. And okay, I know they've renovated the Harare Airport now. It's a bit bigger, it's a bit more modern. But compared to that, honestly, guys, it was like, whew, really overwhelming. Everything was just so big and wow. My auntie and uncle were waiting for me at the airport, and I got out and they got me to eat some food, and it was about, I think I arrived about 9 o'clock, and I was looking outside and looking back at my watch. I kept doing that, and I think my auntie and uncles clicked on, and they were like looking at me laughing, and I was like too embarrassed to even ask what was going on, bearing in mind that while you're in the plane, you just before you arrive, they do tell you anyway that time difference, adjust your watches and stuff. So I'd done that, but I was thinking, it's 9 p.m. and it's still light outside. What's this? So anyway, they explained to me that in the UK in the summer, because this was summertime, in the summer it's light at about 4 a.m. and it goes dark like maybe sometimes even 11 p.m. and then obviously and in the winter it goes light maybe about 8 a.m. and then it gets dark, and even get dark at 3 p.m. That's England for you. So that was my first lesson about England. So I was like, okay, right, no problem. Then I went to my uncle and auntie's apartment. They lived in London. I stayed there for I think a few days anyway, until I went for my interview for Wolverhampton. And yes, guys, I got accepted, and I was starting my nursing in April. That was about 8 months from when I arrived. And my mom and my auntie decided that if I get here and I'm starting a lot later than what I think, I could go back home and come back. But I was thinking, okay, why would I come back? Sorry guys, my battery went flat. But anyway, we continue. So I think I was telling you about why I didn't want to go back home. So I didn't want to go back home because, right, I had this money that I was supposed to present at the airport, pocket money, £500. And guys, it was a lot of money, right? I'm thinking, I can live my best life with this money. Now, those that know me know I love my fashion. So at that time, it was the Spice Girls era. I remember that very well. My Uncle Ken took me to like shops, the markets, everywhere for shopping. And guys, I had hipsters in every color, platform shoes in every color, all the fashion things. I had them in every color, and honestly, I was living my best life, right? He was taking me out to parties. Guys, I grew up with very strict grandparents, right? And I was not allowed to go to parties. I was allowed home. I was told you need to be home before it gets dark. And before it gets dark means 6 p.m. in Zimbabwe. It doesn't change. It's not like all this England stuff. So I couldn't go to any party. The only time I went to a party, guys, was only once, and I snuck out. And I got caught, and honestly, it's another story for another day. But it only happened once, and they made sure it happened the once. So honestly, I was like, why would I go home again? I'll be there, having to be staying at home, doing nothing, when people here are living their best lives. No chance, I'm not. But anyway, I got a phone call from my auntie, and she says, yeah, you need to go to Manchester now. I'm thinking, why am I going to Manchester? I was living in London. My uncle, Sekuru Colin, was buying me, I was staying with Sekuru Colin, and he was bringing me a bar of Toblerone. You know those bars? I think I'll put a little image of it on the beach, and I was eating that every day. You bring me it every day, and honestly guys, I used to love Toblerone, and he knew I loved it, so I loved him for it. But it wasn't very kind to my body, guys, because honestly I was quite skinny when I first came, but because of the chocolates, honestly I ballooned in no time. So my auntie called me and said, you need to go to Manchester. I'm thinking, Manchester? I'm loving London, I want to stay here. She's like, no, you're going to Manchester. But I'm such a good girl, guys, believe it or not, I'm a good girl. So I was like, okay, you know what, whatever you say, mama, I will go to Manchester. That's where my cousin Tarai lived. I said, no problem. So I went to Manchester. Bearing in mind I'd only seen Tarai, I think, twice in my life, because Tarai came here when I was fairly young, and also he's a cousin, like he's a cousin brother. So we saw them only maybe when they visit us, or when we visit them, that kind of thing. So I was like, oh, are you sure I should go to Manchester? She says yeah. And guys, I went to Manchester to live with Tarai. And Tarai, guys, you know, when I meet a lot of people here in England, they'll tell you that oh, they came here, they were mistreated by their relatives, and you know, and they really had a bad experience. But for me, guys, I'm not trying to rub it in on anybody or anything. I'm very grateful for my experience, because honestly, I was treated like an egg by Tarai. Tarai treated me really honestly like, you know, he was driving me anywhere I wanted to go. He would drive me. He would make sure he really looked after me. Most people thought that he was my blood brother, because he you know, anyway, in our culture, we don't have cousins. We've got brothers, so he's really my brother. But honestly, Tarai, I've got nothing but love for him. So anyway, he treated me really good. So we stayed there, and but the thing is now with Tarai, right? He was very strict. He was a strict brother. No boy, yeah, no man could come close to me. You know, he would not allow any guy, right? And a lot of friends as well, right? So he wouldn't allow any of his friends to come anywhere close to me. You're like, oh, that's my sister. We'd go to a party, right? I remember going to a party in Wolverhampton actually, and Tarai was like, no, don't you? And this guy was trying to talk to me, and Tarai went quick straight in there and was like, don't you dare talk to my sister like that. You don't talk to my sister. Leave her alone. So guys, I was thinking, strict brother alert. So when so my friend Hazel called me and she said, Sandra, there's some places at Buckinghamshire University. Are you interested? I'm like, yeah, I've got a place at Wolverhampton, but Buckinghamshire sounds really good. But Buckinghamshire is not far, it's really pretty much London. So I was like, yeah, and it's very far from my very strict brother. So I was thinking, if I was to go to Wolverhampton, Tarai loves driving, and I knew, and he had a lot of friends in Wolverhampton as well, so I knew that he would be in and out to come and see me. And honestly, I wouldn't live my best life. I would never have a boyfriend. He's a strict brother like that. So I was like, you know what, if I live in London, it would be a long way. Like London and Manchester are like 5-6 hours, so I knew that he wouldn't come as often, so I knew I would have my freedom. So actually, and you know guys, it was that easy for me to get a place in Buckinghamshire, because Hazel called me and I said, I can't come there, it's too far. How am I going to get this place? And she said, no, you know what, just give me your O-levels and A-level results, and then I'll tell and your details and date of birth and everything, and I will call them and tell them. And that's what she did. She just called them, and the next thing she's calling me like 10 minutes later and saying, Sandra, you've got a place. I'm like, what? Because she was starting in the October 1998 as well at Buckinghamshire University. I said, oh, so I'm starting in October, so that's brilliant. She says, oh no, that's the thing I want to tell you about, you starting in February. I said, that's still fine, that's still earlier than Wolverhampton anyway, and that's further than Wolverhampton. So I was really, really grateful for that. And honestly, it was that easy to get a place at the university. Now that is not the place at all. Anyway, so while I was preparing, because now I knew that anyway I was going to be in Manchester for about 6 months, I started preparing for uni. And I got my first job, guys. Now listen how easy it was. Bearing in mind, I'd never worked a day in my life. Guys, I was 17 years old, 17 and a half years old, and I just finished my A-levels. So really, I'd never had a job in my life. But all we did, right, was just to go to, my brother Tarai took me to this agency, and with my passport and, you know, qualifications and everything like that. And the next day, guys, the next day, I went to work with zero experience. And all that moving and handling stuff was not a thing back then. So I had no certificates, none of that moving and handling certificates, all that whatever certificates that are mandatory, they were not enforced at that time. So you just had to go to work. And guys, I'd learned the hard way. Honestly, there were so many lessons to learn. Because I never worked in the care industry. I loved looking at people, but I'd never worked there. I never even washed anybody. You know what I mean? It was just like, honestly, everything was such a lesson really to learn. So anyway, I managed to get my job. I worked as an agency HCA, agency healthcare assistant, and I was all over the place. And I remember it was like the Christmas time, guys. I worked for 48 hours in a trot. I started like I think nights on Christmas Eve. I worked night. My brother came and picked me up from the home I was working at and took me to another home to work a long day. Came pick me up from there, took me to another home where I worked the night. And honestly guys, I worked 48 hours. I was so determined. I'm a very determined person anyway. Mainly because I liked a bit of fashion, and also because I wanted to go to the university with all my stuff in the room, you know, like I wanted my telly, I bought all my cooking stuff, I bought all my, because bearing in mind that £500 was history. It was gone. I bought clothes with that one. So I didn't have any more money to buy all the stuff that I needed for uni. But I worked so hard for it. And came February, I went to Buckinghamshire, Chiltern's University. Honestly guys, guys, the stories that came out of that university experience, that would be a story for another day. So I'm gonna stop here, right? But in the next story time, I will tell you all about the what went down at the university, that little boyfriend, whether he came to join me or not. I'll tell you about that as well, and I'll tell you about a lot more stories about my experience as a Zimbabwean, moving from Zimbabwe to the UK and living in the UK. So that's where we are, guys. If you like if you're enjoying the video, kindly press the like button so that I know that you really liked it. Leave me a comment. Press the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed, guys. I like that. Help me grow our little channel. So anyway, guys, that's it for today. Until next time, bye bye.